This is Carl Powell, and I'm here with Stefan Malecek, and we are going to have some real talk, some real conversation today. So I watched them get interviewed a couple times today, and they were real serious. So today, we are going to get really exciting. So let's talk about what is the purpose of your writing.
Wow. So I think it's multi-purpose. There's various levels. Of course, I write for me because it's my therapy in a sense. It always has been. Writing has always been my therapy because I was very isolated as a kid and I never had anybody I could really talk to. So I wrote to talk to myself in a sense. I write to share my life experience because I feel like I've distilled all this vast life experience down into 80, 100,000 words for each book, and it's an opportunity to experience a whole nother level of life. Joseph Conrad used to say, "It's my job to make you see," and that's I try to write so that people can see my experience, and so that's I want my work to uplift and help people change and want to change.
And I think it's really important that what I like about your purpose is you want to contribute to other people's wisdom.
Oh, God, yes.
And what I find fascinating in any author is somebody who inspires me to be a better person by teaching me something that I can use for a real purpose.
Yes.
No, I read, when I was reading your bio and everything, about you being in Vietnam. And I think that all is very, very fascinating. But what I find even more fascinating is what you were just talking about. And you were just talking about, I walked into the studio and I heard you talking to someone else and you were talking about the 4 levels of spirituality. And I would really love to hear about those 4 levels of spirituality.
The 4 quadrants, this really is East Indian concept that, you have there are 4 main quadrants of your life. You're a child. And you get to do child things. You're not held responsible to work 80 hours a week, anything like that. You're a kid. That's it. Bang. You get to immerse yourself in being a kid, and then you become a student. And you're a student for however long that is, and your job is to be a good student, to learn your lessons, to get good grades, to absorb the material. You're not supposed to be mom or dad or et cetera. You are a student. That's your whole job. Then at some point, you become a householder. You have children and running a household. You have a job, and that's your focus. And then at some point, hopefully, maybe some sooner than later, it's the 4th quadrant, which is called sannyas or spiritual aspirant, and you get to let go of the things of the world and focus your energy on your spiritual evolution.
So are these 4 quadrants, are they by age?
Pretty well, roughly. Being a child is, I know people that stop being a child when they're 13, and there's other people who are 95 who I still think are children.
Yeah, because I still think I'm a child. So I'm hoping that I think I was listening to the 4 quadrants, and I think what I find fascinating for me is I think I'm in all 4 places.
Yeah, no. You never stop being a child or a student or a householder. And at some point, and each of them is a major focus. So if you do child well, you will carry an integrated child around with you, right? If you don't do child well, you'll be 80 years old and still acting like a 5-year-old. So it's a matter of integrating the essence of the experience in such a way that you carry it around with yourself and you live it and you have it as whole within yourself. So that by the time you get to that 4th quadrant where you let go of the things in the world and you become sannyas surrendered. You become a spiritual aspirant. You direct all your efforts toward finding God or goddess or whatever you want to call that, the great mystery. You're free because you've done child, you've done student, you've done householder. You have fulfilled your duties, and you can take your focus elsewhere.
So that means you're kind of free to fly.
Now
that you've done your work.
Yeah.
This should be your period of life where you just get to kind of soar and fly.
Where all that stuff, and it's really what I'm experiencing really strongly here on Maui since I've been on Maui and with my writing is that I finally, I feel like I've been writing my whole life, and I feel like finally, I'm just in this place where I don't have to work to support my writing habit anymore.
So I heard that you just started a publishing company?
Yes.
So you want to tell me, how did it start? how did the idea, I think I'll start a publishing company, start?
Wow. No, it wasn't mine. I have to give credit to LT, Lawrence Taylor, man, my partner, my business partner. Let's see, we met through the Mankind Project. When he did his initiation weekend, we met, and I staffed his weekend, and we got to know each other a little bit. And somewhere down the line, he said, well, I've written these 2 books. I said, I'd love to read them, man. And I think I bought copies of both of his books, and the one book I started reading it, and I said, and he called me up and said, I'm going to get it, I'm going to have a big printing of this. And I said, well, give me a couple of days, man. Do you mind if I go through this and edit it a little bit? He said, oh, no, that'd be great. So I did. He said, oh my God. He said, I've had a bunch of people look at this, and nobody ever gave me this kind of constructive criticism, man. So I did I edited his book. And I said, well, I love doing this kind of thing. I love editing. And I love, I'm a writer. That's my whole thing, And so LT's introduced me to people. He said, I'm a writer. He said, but this guy, he's gonna get the Pulitzer Prize.
Last year I wrote 2 books. And I first thought, I'll just take this book and I'll shop it out to a publishing company. Think again.
Right.
So I shopped it out and shopped it out and shopped it out, just the idea.
Right.
And that was 3 years ago. And finally, last year I just decided, okay, I think I'm going to do it myself, which is a lot of work.
Oh my God.
And there is no way that you can get the idea out of your head on paper and then into action, so it's actually moving out into the world by yourself.
No, it's completely, for me, it's a completely different mind space.
Yeah. Because you can be a great author. You can have great ideas, but if you don't have somebody great to help you get those ideas out there, those ideas will sit in your pocket for the rest of your life.
It's really funny because LT and I we have these clashes, about... he'll say da 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 da. I go, no, I don't want to do that, because it's like I'm coming from this my ideology, and he's coming from real life experience about what's going to work, how it's going to sell, how the market's going to do, how it has to, all of those approaches. And I just, I just actually said to him last night. I said, okay, I surrender.
Yeah.
I know that you know what you're doing, and I don't. So. As far as marketing goes, man, anything you say, I'm going to try to do my very best not to argue with you anymore.
And that's one of the hardest lessons about being an entrepreneur is learning how to delegate and let people do what they do best.
Yeah. Because I know that what I do, I write. I'm a good writer. I'm a great writer. I'm a great psychotherapist. Man, outside of that, I don't fix engines. I don't do plumbing. I don't do any of that. It's not my kuleana.
And I think that's where we grow to. When I was younger, I did try to be a jack of all trades and ended up being king of none.
Yeah.
But then I learned that to be king of one was so much more important.
Yes.
And so I found that for me, what I do with my writing and with all of my work is I teach people a better way to live.
Yes.
Because I see and I know that life can be magnificent.
Yes.
And so all of my books are based on a magnificent life.
Beautiful.
And what I think is if I can make that my contribution, then the universe will support me by bringing other people who will then help elevate and motivate my project forward.
Yes.
But like you said, you have to reach the point of surrender.
Well, and that's the key piece for me overall is that I find I'm constantly having to surrender. On a whole variety of levels, because it's like, oh God, because I have this thing. I want to be masterful in a variety of areas, and I know that I'm not, and so, and that's part of that whole projection. That's part of that whole shame deficit that I talk about sometimes is that we get pushed into trying to be somebody or something that we're not because somebody else needs us to be that or wants us to be that way, or if I only were I don't know, whatever it was, maybe if I was only 2 inches taller, God, I'd be or whatever, we can everybody has some area or arena where we feel deficient. That's the nature of shame.
Right.
And so integrating shame means to finally reach the place where you can actually say, thank you, I love my life, I love me, in a genuine and real way. And I think that's the whole, on many levels, that's the whole purpose, I believe, of being on this earth right now, and primarily that, and then to promote the well-being and upliftment of everyone, of others. And that's that cooperative energy, that connected energy, because what I call the biggest delusion is that you and I are separate, that we have no connection. That is, in psychiatric nosology, that is a delusion, man, because on every level we're connected. Yeah. We breathe the same air, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we have a connection. There's a connection between us, and we can use that energy because 1 and 1 is 3.
Right.
And so we can use that energy to uplift each other and others.
And that's what wisdom teaches us. Wisdom teaches us that we don't have to be everything for everyone all the time. And then you can allow yourself to be what you need to be for you. And when you do that, I feel, that's when you can really offer something to the rest of the world.
Yes, yes.
Because I think that when I was still I started off with exercise. And I lost 100 pounds, and I thought everyone should lose 100 pounds. But not everyone wanted to lose 100 pounds. So I was like banging my fist down, like everyone should do this. And then I learned that what a magnificent life means for some people doesn't mean the same for others. And it's not about how long you live, but how well you live and how much you live. And sometimes for some people, smoking a pack of cigarettes and drinking a fifth of whiskey, that's living.
That's the best they can do?
It's the best they can do, and that's all they want to do. And you know what? We have to be okay with letting them just be that instead of always trying to direct people into your belief system.
Well, see, and because I often find that when you're there's an old saying from the '60s. If you're busy pushing other people, to do your trip, you're not paying attention to yourself.
And you're not paying attention to them.
Right. That's true. Because it does. I mean, like somebody who's smoking a pack of cigarettes and drinking a fifth of whiskey every day, it's probably not somebody I'm going to want to hang out with.
But you always have to give them the allowance just to be that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, fine, you can do that, and I'm going to deal with what I deal with in my way for me, and thank you. Yeah. That's the big piece, I think. If you can say,
thank you.
I don't agree with you. I don't want to be you. I don't want to do that, but thank you.
Well, I have to thank you because they're giving me the wrap-up.
Oh,
they're
no,
like, you have talked way too long, but we are going to have lots of opportunity to talk. Stefan,
well, we got to.
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Great,
and I look forward to talking to you some more.
You too.
And I hope to see you all again real soon. Thank you for watching.